All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. I'm Greg Jennings. He's Mark Schlereth. And for Whitlock and Wiley, we're joined today by Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson and the founder of the Big League, Jason McIntyre. Wild Card Weekend is here. Let's start in Dallas, where the Cowboys host the Seahawks Saturday night and will be looking for big games from Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott against a solid Seahawks defense. Zeke once again was the engine of the Cowboys offense for most of the year, but Dak came on strong during the Cowboys turnaround in the second half of the season. Mark, who is more important for Dallas this week in this game against the Seahawks, Zeke or Dak?
Right. Obviously Zeke is the actuator of this offense. You've got to get him the carries, and rushing attempts are by far, to me, the most important thing that you can do. I mean, that to me is playoff football, defense, and running the ball. But I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here and say, Dak Prescott, when you give him the ball in designed rushing opportunities, once in the first quarter, when they give it to him and let him have a designed run in the first quarter, just once, it sets the tone. They're 7-1 in those games. Ooh. 7-1 when he gets some designed runs. And when you look at them, they're 3-5 in every other game where he hasn't got at least one designed run in the first quarter. When you look at the way they're constructed, especially when it comes to red zone woes, and they have had their red zone woes, you have got to get their quarterback involved in the running game. It opens up things for Ezekiel Elliott with the read option stuff. It opens that stuff up. It opens up the play action game, and it opens up the single read, the X drifts and in the Y hooks. It opens all that stuff up for their offense. So I think it's imperative. Running the ball is imperative. And I know you agree with that. And we are lockstep. We're connected to him, right? because I want, as a former offensive lineman, I want to run the ball. But to me, getting Dak involved, especially red zone carries, in this game is going to prove to be the most imperative thing they can do.
I agree with Mark with that. I mean, I feel like that Zeke and Dak are both very important in this football game. You can't get behind the sticks. You can't get 3rd and 9. You can't get 3rd and 7. You got to keep it 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4 to run the football, because Dallas is not a football team that plays well from behind. And play action for them is really play action because they want to run the football first. So when they go to play action, teams have to come up and really play the play action because, this is a running football team. I think the more that Ezekiel Elliott runs the football, gets on track, especially in the playoff game. In the playoff game, once you get to rolling, you want to run that football. You want to run that clock out. If you can just score first, if they can score first and let that defense, the defense that played a couple of weeks ago come back, not the defense that's been playing the last 2 weeks, I think that the Cowboys have a good chance of winning this football.
So are you saying that Zeke is more important or Dak?
I say both. I can't say one. I can't go one.
You need both. I'll help him out. I'll help him out. And I'm going to go with your style of play and your style of play.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with the running back. Ezekiel Elliott. It's clear here. You gave a stat 7-1 when they established the run with Dak Prescott, their quarterback. But they're 6-0 when Ezekiel Elliott has over 20 carries in the games this season. And so when I look at that and look at going back to week 3 where he had 16 carries in a 100-plus effort yard game against the Seattle Seahawks and they lost, had he got the ball a few more times, that game may be changed. And so when I look at the Dallas Cowboys and you talk about the way they're constructed, both teams are constructed to run the football. So we don't care about, are we going to minimize possessions here or there? They're going to both do that equally. But who's going to sustain their drives and punch it in? And for me, if you give Ezekiel Elliott, opportunities to get that ball and get rolling, and we see this come Sunday or Saturday night, it's going to be a long night.
I hate to start off on a negative note, but you're wrong, Greg. I mean, this is a quarterback league. Dak Prescott is the most important player on the field for either team. You guys know he was tied for the league lead in fumbles this year with 12? He has been a bit of a turnover machine. In 3 games this season, he had more picks than touchdowns. They lost all of them. We know what Zeke's going to do. He's going to eat on the ground, and we know he's going to eat through the air. Christian McCaffrey went over 100 yards rushing and receiving against the Seattle defense. They could be had. Zeke's going to get his. Dak is the question. Is he going to be able to withstand Frank Clark and that nasty pass rush? You highlighted Frank Clark. He's had a good season. Dallas offensive line's been spotty at times without Frederick. We know the injuries are there. There's going to be pressure on Dak to deliver, especially, guys, when he looks across the field and you see Russell Wilson, a money player, one of the best fourth-quarter quarterbacks in the league over the last, I believe it's 7 years. One of the best fourth quarter quarterbacks. Can Dak do it when it matters?
See, you know what's interesting to me about how the league, we always talk about how the league has changed, and it hasn't really changed all that much.
Not that much.
Not that much.
I agree.
There are some subtle differences. One thing is you travel around the country and you meet with defensive coordinators, they all say the same thing, and it's a lie. And the lie that they tell you is, hey, our number one priority is to stop the run. That's our number one priority. Every defensive coordinator I've talked to this year said that's their number one priority. And then I watched them play nickel and dime the whole game with one linebacker in there, and a bunch of safeties, right, and a bunch of DBs in there. That's not your number one priority. They'll give up 5-6 yards of carry because they're like, if you can do that 8, 10, 12 times in a row, when we get down to the red zone and everything gets constricted, we're going to make you kick a field goal. Like, we're not going to let you score touchdowns. So that's the way the league has operated here. So to me, attempts become a paramount statistic, not yards per carry as much. I want a team that understands the value of attempts. I want a team that understands the value of playing that rugged kind of offense, that run downhill offense, because I'll show you a team that's going to create explosive plays in the passing game through play action. That's kind of the complementary nature of offensive football. And so you've got to be able to have those attempts. And that's what I love about both of these teams. There's nobody that has more attempts in the league than the Seattle Seahawks. They run it, since week 3, they've run it 55% of their offensive snaps. And that creates, I called a game against Seattle against San Francisco, where I think Russell Wilson was like 4 of 6 in the first half with 3 touchdown passes. That was it. Like they're going to run the ball.
And he's good with that.
Yeah, and he's okay with that.
For me, when I look at the playoffs, and we all know this, well, you know this from a spectator's seat, but you still know it.
Shocking.
Your stars have to shine. And there is no bigger star wearing that helmet on the side of his helmet than Ezekiel Elliott. And when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, it's whether he's running the football out of the backfield or Dak Prescott is hitting him on swing routes or in the route game. He needs to touch the ball multiple times, over 25 attempts or times he touches the ball, and they will have success. I still don't think they beat the Seattle Seahawks, but I think you have to drive through Ezekiel Elliott.
It'll be interesting because they're a cover 3 team, a zone cover 3 team, and anytime you do that curl flat defender is a linebacker or a safety, and you get it out to that running back, you can complete 14 balls out there, and then it's open field tackling. Can you open field tackle?
Yes.
And that's a tough thing to do in that position. Okay, on the other sideline, Russell Wilson has been doing typical Russell Wilson things this week, offering nothing but praise for his counterpart, calling Dak a special player. Russ been quietly pretty special himself this year as he put up unbelievable numbers, but can he put those numbers up against a vaunted Dallas defense that slowed down some of the best NFL offenses this year? Greg, who are you more confident in, Russell Wilson or that Dallas defense?
This is a trick question.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson. He's been. This is what he does.
Right.
Look, 75 regular season victories, first in NFL history to do that. Literally, there is not a more proven quarterback in our game outside of. Let's eliminate Tom Brady because we know what he does. Russell Wilson, what he provides to this Seattle Seahawks team is unmatched. He gives them whatever is needed. He doesn't complain. It doesn't have to go through him. So he's what you want, not only in a leader, in a quarterback, but in a franchise player.
Right.
And when I look at Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks team, and I look at Dallas's defense, he's a dual threat. You have to cover me not only passing the ball in the air, but extending the plays and getting the ball outside the tackles.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. It feels like a trick question, right? I mean, it's got to be Russell Wilson. I do want to point out on this Dallas defense, which has been good, 2 guys playing their first playoff game. Leighton Vander Esch, the great middle linebacker. If he's spying Russell Wilson, who's got the experience edge there? That one's obvious. And then Awuzie, the cornerback of the Cowboys. This is his first playoff game. If he's ever matched up with Doug Baldwin, I don't know if you guys have seen the numbers, Baldwin, the splits in Seattle, with him on the field, Russell Wilson is incredible. The explosive plays have been there with Baldwin. I am a little concerned about the Dallas defense. I have full confidence in Russell.
Yeah, I have full confidence in Russell Wilson as well, and I will tell you, when you watch their passing game. You watch the double move aspects. You watch the play pass stuff where you set up outside the tackle and then Lockett doing some, over back, opposite throwback type of stuff. I mean, they are phenomenal in what they do from a design standpoint, and they will just continue to set you up, and then they'll take that big deep strike over the top. And I don't think there's a better deep ball thrower, more accurate deep ball thrower in this league than Russell Wilson.
Well, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go with the Dallas defense. I got to go with the Dallas defense. You know what? I feel like these young linebackers can put pressure on Russell Wilson, and somebody can spy him. The one thing that Russell Wilson does well is he's like a mouse. You can't get your hands on him. You can't catch him. But one thing that Dallas' defense has not done well in the last couple of weeks is play good defense. But one thing they did really good against New Orleans, you know how this is. Playoff time. This is playoff time. This is all different. They tackle very well in open space. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys defense. I think that they, at home, they're 7-1. So I got to go with the Cowboys defense.
Eric, that New Orleans-Dallas game where the Dallas defense was incredible. Drew Brees is not getting outside the pocket and beating you. I want to go back to that Houston Texans game. Deshaun Watson really had his way. I know Van Der Esch was young, but it just seems like the running quarterbacks could give Dallas a problem. I love Jalen Smith, one of my favorite players in the league defensively. I'm just concerned that they're going to be able to hang with Russell Wilson.
I'll say it's playoff time. It's a different speed.
Exactly.
It's a different intensity and everything. So I know Russell Wilson has been there. I got to go with it. He's been there, but Wilson, he has a tendency to throw interceptions at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. Now, he has 11 interceptions in the playoffs, so I'm going to go with the Dallas. I think the Cowboys going to win this game.
Do you understand Russell Wilson has missed the playoffs one time in his career?
How many Super Bowls
last year? He has one.
There you go.
Should have two.
Should have two, yeah. I should still have a Jerry curl, too.
How many does the Dallas Cowboys have in this?
They haven't had one in 20 years.
This millennium.
So I mean, what's your point? What point are you making?
I'm still taking the Cowboys. You know I'm taking the Cowboys because you said it best. They're going to run the football. They're going to keep Russell Wilson and that offense on the sideline. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
I keep going back every time I look at this game, and I'm taking Seattle. I keep going back in a 9-possession game. Normally, you get about 3 possessions a quarter, so you get 12 possessions total as an offense. They're going to be a 9-possession game because both these teams are going to run the ball. So in those 9 possessions, in limited possessions, in the red zone, who do I trust more? Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson? And I trust Russell Wilson more. That's
Dak Prescott numbers in the red zone. We went over them this week.
Yeah,
they're bad. He's the worst quarterback in the playoffs in the red zone. Completion percentage, interception,
He didn't have Amari Cooper either.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair. I like how you keep jumping on this running game as if Seattle's running game is poor. When they've had, do you realize they had?
They average 172 yards. I agree. They're the best in the NFL. But still, they don't have Zeke. They don't have Ezekiel Elliott.
They had 3 100-yard rushers in the game.
Okay, and your point is?
They
can have my team.
It's not just one guy that's going to beat you. But
you're a Rams guy.
We got to get in the break. Welcome back. Time for a big story. Greg Jennings and Mark Schlereth in for Whitlock and Wiley. Eric Dickerson, Jason McIntyre are back. Let's move to Chicago, where Nick Foles and the Eagles will look to continue their hot streak Sunday against the Bears. After last season's miraculous run to the Super Bowl, it's not surprising that some people think Foles has even more magic left in him, including Brett Favre, who isn't counting out a repeat of last year.
I don't think anyone, whether you're an Eagles fan or not, can look at the Eagles and not say right now they're the hottest team in football. And to me, they're playing very, very similar to how they played at the end last year. And that's frightening because we know how that ended up. And so, Foles is a little banged up. But, the odds have been against them all year long. And they have defied the odds, and they've gotten themselves into the tournament. I would not be surprised if the Eagles don't make a run at this thing.
Mark, I come to you first. Do you agree with Brett Favre in this statement?
Well, if they get through Chicago, right, if they can get through Chicago, that's a big if. I don't think they're going to get through Chicago, but if they could get through Chicago and Foles could come out of that game healthy and confident. Remember last year going to the playoffs, he wasn't playing very well the last couple games of the season. Then he gets in that game against Atlanta, and they won like 15-9 or something. I mean, it came down to the last play of the game. For Atlanta, and obviously defensively they stood up. And so, they are playing well. And, it is exciting. But the Bears are ridiculous defensively, and I've watched this. You go back to the 85 Bears, a defense that just drug an offense along. You can go back to the 2000 Ravens, maybe the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You go back to the 2013 Seattle Seahawks with the Legion of Boom, 2015 Denver Broncos with the no-fly zone. I've seen defensive football teams carry an offense that maybe not be up to their kind of level. I've seen this happen before, and Chicago is unique in that they play this 5-man front. They play this like 5-2 defense where they're going to get 5 one-on-ones across the board. They're going to make you keep a back in. They're going to make you keep a tight end in. They're going to make you defend that way. You look at the tight ends and the premier tight ends. The premier tight end in the league right now, Zach Ertz, is one of the premier tight ends. Would we all agree on that?
Yeah.
You look at Chicago, they've had one tight end bust 50 yards or more this season. Like one guy, George Kittle, it took 12 targets to get him 70 yards. Other than that, not one other tight end has had over 50 yards. So their biggest weapon in the offensive passing game is the tight end position. And a lot of that is because you can't get your tight end out. Like you've got to keep 6 and 7 men in against Chicago at all times. Otherwise, your quarterback's going to get destroyed. So could this happen? Absolutely. But I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think they get through Chicago.
I share your same sentiments. I think that it out of all my years of watching NFL football and playing, this 12-team put together of playoff teams, anybody has a chance. And everybody has a chance. But what Brett Favre said, I disagree with because of who they have to play and where they have to go. And when I look at, you said it all, I don't have to be long here. When you look at the Chicago Bears defense, 11 of their 16 regular season games, they've held the opposing starting quarterback under 80% passer rating. Like, I want you to allow that to sink in. Like, You're not going to just come out on this Bears defense and throw the ball around like it's a walk in the park. This isn't 7-on-7.
Yeah, 90, by the way, is average. Like 90,
exactly.
Like you're not going, hey, I got a, like my in college, I got a B? Whoa!
Yeah.
It's not like celebratory thing, right?
Like, this is who they are. They have 3 all-pro guys, 4 Pro Bowlers, 3 all-pro guys, and you talk about taking away the tight end. Eddie Jackson is one of those reasons why they can eliminate tight ends because of his ability to cover and take the ball out of the air from opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, I wonder, guys, is something else afoot here? Is Brett Favre angling for a media job here? Is he? I mean, is that what's up? Because this came out of nowhere. First of all, false. The Eagles are not the hottest team in the league, okay? Colts and Bears have won 4 in a row. So let's just get that out. But maybe there's a relationship with Favre and Peterson that goes back a few years.
Of course.
And he's talking up his guy. Because there's just no chance here, okay? I know we want to talk about last year. Nick Foles got hot in the postseason. Eric, hey, that was so fun. The games were at home, okay? They were at home. They're got to go on the road now for 3 straight games. 0.0% chance the Eagles get to the Super Bowl.
Maybe not the Super Bowl, but I think they'll beat the Chicago Bears.
Oh.
I really do. I think that, they have Alshon Jeffries back there. He was out 3 games. I mean, he's had 843 yards so far this season. I like the Eagles. They came here in L.A. and beat my Rams, and they beat them pretty soundly, I got to say. I mean, it was a close game, but I thought they really controlled that football game. This is a good football team. I mean, the secondary's beat up, but their defensive front is a very good defensive front. You know what worries me about Chicago? Not their defense. Their defense is great. Their offense, their quarterback, Trubisky, he has a tendency to turn it over. So for me, I like the Eagles in this game. I like Nick Foles. Nick Foles is the guy that we all count him out. I say he's a backup, but you know what? What did he do last year? He went to the Super Bowl and won what? Against who? Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, supposedly. I think he's on that hot run again. Well, can he win, in Chicago and then go to New Orleans and win and possibly come here and win? I don't think he can do that, but do I think he'll beat Chicago? I think they will beat Chicago in Chicago.
Let's not forget that last season when the Eagles did make that Super Bowl run, who gave them their final speech? Brett Favre. Doug Peterson. He brought Brett Favre in there.
So I just wonder if you have a little bit of an affinity for Nick Foles because He played for the Rams, but that was
there it is.
Did you like
now.
St. You know what? They were
I felt bad for him there. I felt bad for him there.
Was that your? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Was that your team when they were in St. Louis?
When they went to St. Louis, did you just say basically, I'm done with you guys until you come back to LA?
I was still a Ram fan. It was kind of tough. That was Cardinal territory. Still, I still look at it as Cardinal territory.
But I don't know. Welcome back, Greg Jennings and Mark Schlereth in for Whitlock and Wiley. Eric Dickerson is still here, even though he's all on an island by himself. Jason McIntyre are back. Let's return to Dallas, where the Patriots, not the Patriots, where reports surfaced this week that Jason Garrett could be on the hot seat or his job could be on the line this weekend against Seattle Seahawks. Garrett has only one playoff win in his 8+ years as a Cowboys head coach, and in just 1-5 in win-or-go-home games. And this week, he's up against Pete Carroll, one of the most accomplished coaches in all of history of football. Mark, any chance Jason Garrett outcoaches Pete Carroll?
No, he's not going to outcoach Pete Carroll. And, I go back to the season. I go back to looking at Seahawks tape. And there were several games this year where multiple times against the Carolina Panthers, they were down 7 in several different occasions during the course of that game. They stayed true to who they are. Against the Green Bay Packers, they're down 14-3. They stayed true to who they are. They know who they are. Pete Carroll told me personally, listen, I was dumb in the first 2 games of the season. I thought we could be something we aren't. And that's not who we are. So I went back to what I know works. We're going to be physical. We're going to be a bully. We're going to run the ball. And in those 2 games that I just mentioned, the thing that was most impressive to me was they never came out of character. There was never panic. I don't care if you're down 14-3. This is the way we win football games. We're going to stay true to our identity. We know who we are, and that's the way we're going to go about it. So we're going to continue to run the ball. We're going to continue to try to be bullies, and eventually something will break in our favor. We'll create a big play, an explosive in the running game. We'll create an explosive in the passing game over the top, and eventually we'll find a way in the fourth quarter to bring it down to 1 possession, and we trust number 3 in a 1-possession game. That's who they are. That's what they've done. That's not going to vary. Like, I don't see Dallas going, if Dallas gets down by 10, it's going to be panic in the streets of London. Like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, we got to abandon the run. If the Seahawks are down by 10, it's okay, guys. We've been here plenty of times before. This is who we are. This is the way we're going to approach that. So do I think Jason Garrett's going to outcoach Pete Carroll? No, I don't.
And that, for me, what you just said about the Dallas Cowboys and their ability to panic when the seat gets hot, when it's late in the fourth quarter, yes, you're smiling, I see you. Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks, you're not going to get that out of them. This is a team that understands this stage. They've been here. Pete Carroll, 7 of 9 of his 9 seasons have been in the playoffs. Like, he understands the level of play has to go to another level, but he doesn't have to go too far because we know who we are. We do what we do, and we do it better than you. And by the way, Pete Carroll has never lost when he gets in the dance the first game in the playoffs. He hasn't lost. So that doesn't bode well for your Cowboys.
Boom. Well, what?
I'll say it's the first time for everything. Can you remember Super Bowl? Remember that? You say who you are, run the football. Well, he didn't run the football that time.
That's good.
So he got away from his game plan. Most definitely. I feel like, is he a better coach than Jason Garrett? Yes, he is. But do the Dallas Cowboys have more talent, all-around talent, than the Seattle Seahawks? Yes, they do. And sometimes, and I believe in this case, the talent would outweigh the coaching.
Ooh,
I believe that Rob Marinelli's defense.
He's right.
And
the Cowboys have a better roster than the Seahawks.
They have a better roster.
So, but I just want to say, like, any chance he outcoaches Pete Carroll? Of course there's a chance. There's a chance you could beat me in tennis the next time we play. Or Eric could beat me in Monopoly. Like, anything can happen, guys, especially in sports. Like, they're unpredictable. And when I look at this matchup, folks, just going to remind you, the last 2 times Seattle went on the road in the playoffs, they got blown out in Atlanta on the road. Remember that big when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl?
That was a high-profile offense they were up against.
That Carolina game where they fell behind like 24-0. They did make a rally, but they lost badly the last 2 times they went on the road in the playoffs. I think Dallas is the side here. I think I'm confident in Jason Garrett showing up. And the last thing is, Week 17, did you guys see what he did there? He played his guys. I know he sat some offensive linemen, but 2 years ago, before that Green Bay Packers game, he sat all his stars. They played like one series.
Right.
They came out a little flat, fell behind early, and I like Jason Garrett's move in Week 17. We beat him up a lot, but I like what he did.
Let me tell you about talent, okay?
I'm glad you're touching.
Let me tell you about talent. Joe Gibbs used to say this all the time. Joe Gibbs, one of the most regal men that I've ever been around. Super Bowl champion multiple times. My head coach my first 4 years in the National Football League. Talent will make plays in the first 3 quarters. Character will win games in the 4th quarter. You say it all the time. I have seen, you know who's got great talent? Antonio Brown. Great talent. I need guys who are committed to our system, guys who are committed to one another, guys who are willing to sacrifice for one another. And I'm not saying Dallas isn't, but we make talent to be the end-all, be-all. If that were the case, there's a lot of us that would have never played the NFL. It's not always about talent. Sometimes it's about the way your talent plays together. And, you know, I agree with you. I think Dallas, I think D-line, I think the linebacking core, I think the secondary, I think O-line-wise, I think they're more talented than the Seahawks. But, again, I trust the system, and I trust the guy pulling the trigger, number 3, more than I trust anybody else.
Eric, I want to ask you this question because we touched on it earlier in the week. Do you think Jason Garrett needs this win to save his job?
No, I don't. I think no matter what that's Jerry's guy. You know, you got to drag him out. You know, with white horses pulling him and everything else. No, if he loses this game, he'll still be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I believe that. You know, should he be is another question. That's another question. So, but will he be? I think so.
All right, let's move to Chicago, where Mitchell Trubisky will make his playoff debut this week against the Eagles. Trubisky has been much improved over his rookie season and has had a handful of big games this year, but also with some stinkers, with 4 games of throwing 2 or more picks. While Chicago's defense has been dominant, often carried the team. So, Greg, I'll ask you this. Trubisky, will he be the Bears' Achilles heel?
No, he will not. No, he will not. And the reason why he will not be is because of his head football coach, Matt Nagy. He's not going to allow his quarterback to be the Achilles heel. You know this because you've covered them and you've sat down with both of these guys, both Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky. Matt Nagy has something at the bottom, his mantra, be you. He reminds himself on his play sheet, he's sitting there at the bottom and says, be you. You know why he says be you? Because I don't need you to be anything other than who I brought you here to be. We all know who Mitchell Trubisky is. Right. They know who he is. And who better has put him in situation, who has put him in better situations than Matt Nagy all season long? I like Mitchell Trubisky. I like the pairing of he and Matt Nagy moving forward against this Eagles team.
I agree with you. I think Matt Nagy, if Trubisky's the Achilles heel, well, Matt Nagy's the heel cup, right? That's protecting the heel, right? Because you watch what he does, and here's of a great play caller and a great kind of coordinator, head coach, guys who understand. When you look at what it is that defense is doing, and you give a formation and they play it a certain way, and you make a mental note and say, okay, this is where we can attack them maybe 2 or 3 series from now. And then all of a sudden you give them the exact same formation with the exact same motion, and you saw the exact same adjustment. You've already told your quarterback, okay, last time they tried to undercut the out route. This time we're going to go on out and up. And as soon as that guy puts his foot in the ground, that defensive back, that safety puts his foot in the ground and starts driving on that route, bam, that's when you turn it up and we'll get a big play over the top. Those are the difference. Like, those are guys, the in-game adjustment ability of a Matt Nagy, to me, has been special. He's been another offensive weapon for them, and I'm 100% with you. He'll put his quarterback in a position not to make mistakes. He's not going to say, hey, go win this game for us. He's just going to say, hey, orchestrate the offense the way we ask you to orchestrate it. During the course of this game, we're going to find 2 or 3 opportunities to attack this defense based on what they showed us in the first and second quarter, and that's going to be good enough with our defense, coupled with our defense, to win a football game. That's who he is.
I like this BU strategy. I had not heard that. And the fact that he wants Trubisky to do his thing leads me to believe that we're going to see a lot of Trubisky running the football. Because he was number 5, I believe, in the NFL among quarterbacks running the football. And what has hurt Philly multiple times this year? Marcus Mariota running the football. Andrew Luck had a huge run. Colts nearly pulled the upset in Philly. Blake Bortles in that London game, he was able, when the pass rush came in, because remember, I think Michael Bennett led the NFL in either pressures or hits. He's getting to the quarterback, and he's going to have to do what he does. Trubisky, just run the football. Don't try to do too much and try to force balls into bad spots. I like Trubisky in this spot. I mean, you guys are saying some nice stuff about the Eagles, but for some reason, I love the Bears this weekend.
Absolutely not.
Oh, Eric.
I got to go against you guys again. Look, I saw Trubisky play. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a great Bears defense, not like the Bears of '85. They are dominant, but they're not that dominant. The Bears of '85, you couldn't move the ball at all. This is a really, really good defense. But Mitchell Trubisky is a quarterback. At times, will turn the football over. I saw it in person. One thing, let's go hypothetical. Let's just say they fall behind 14-zip. Now, they have to throw the football. They can't run the football. They can't rely on their defense. We have to play catch-up. That's what I see happening in this football game because, look, the Eagles are going to be who the Eagles are. They're going to run our offense. And I believe that they will score. They will be able to score on the Chicago Bears. Now, this is going to put Trubisky in a place where I'm uncomfortable. I'm still a young quarterback. Now, you have to rely on your quarterback to throw the football. Now, what do you get out of it? I saw him play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had 5 touchdowns. He should have had 10, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm like, wow, everybody's open, but he's missing them.
Early in the year, so I'll give him a pass. But this is why I love Mitch Trubisky and where he is in this position with Matt Nagy coupled with him. Because as a young quarterback, as a young player, when your head football coach gives you all the answers to the test, to your point,
right,
I'm telling you what adjustments to make. When you see that, it's like a boxer in this corner when they come back and his corner is telling him, look, he's going to drop his right arm and you got him right there. That is what Matt Nagy is doing for Mitchell Trubisky. And let's not discount the fact that he has weapons around him. Taylor Gabriel, Anthony Miller, Tariq Cohen, all these guys.
Nice.
Like he has a lot of weapons. He doesn't have to try to put the ball downfield, but Matt Nagy puts him in position to where he can be effective and he can impact the game the way he impacts the game, his style.
Yeah, Eric, one last point. You noted you saw Trubisky in that Bears game, okay? Did you watch your guy Jared Goff in that Chicago game? Do you see what happens when you can't protect an immobile quarterback? And I like Goff. He's a nice quarterback.
I agree.
He could not handle the
in that
pressure.
football game, to me, the biggest mistake we did was throw the football 44 times on the road.
You can't run on
Run
Chicago.
the football.
They're the number one run defense. Eric, hold on. The Eagles have not had a 90-yard rusher this season. You can't run on this defense.
Here's what I would say about, I just don't think that Chicago will ever be down 14 points. The way they've played since week 8, what is this? 24, they've given up 10, 9, 22, 26, 17, 9, 10.
I agree. But,
all right.
You agree?
I agree with that. I agree with the stats on the paper. That means this is paper. This is playoff time. This is different.
I don't
think they're ever going to be behind by 14 points with that defense.
If they do, I can't wait to come back.
Trubisky is, I tell you one thing he can do. Out of the pocket, and they design him out of the pocket. You mentioned the running. He is a really accurate thrower outside the pocket. When you get outside the pocket, you clear your vision, and then you become a sight thrower. And when you get route combinations where you have, a flat, a shallow cross, and you have a comeback, it's a linear progression. It's 1, 2, 3, right in your eyesight. It becomes a very easy throw to make, and they'll do a great job of giving him enough of those to where you're already going to be 8 for 8 or 10 for 10 in those situations. And then it's just a matter of managing the other throws. I think they'll do that.
So I'm just going to give our viewers a snippet on Edie. Like, you don't want to trust this man because, number one, Trubisky had 6 touchdown passes against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I said 5 or 6. I didn't say 5 or 6.
Congratulations to our good friend and colleague Tony Gonzalez, who was announced as a finalist for the Hall of Fame. I think we can all agree Tony's a shoo-in to make it on the first ballot, and it's well-deserved honor for one of the NFL's best, good friend, great analyst.
Yeah, he was a chief, so it's going to be hard for me to follow. No.
Welcome
I'm just
back,
kidding, Tony.
Welcome back, Greg James and Mark Slayer in for Whitlock and Wiley. Eric Dickerson is still here. I don't know why.
Oh, come on.
Jason McIntyre.
I'm not going.
Shots fired.
I'm not going along with you guys today. That's why.
Let's move to Baltimore, where the Ravens host the Chargers in a wild-card matchup Sunday. Baltimore's defense dominated when these two teams met in Week 16, holding the Chargers to just 10 points. And while Lamar Jackson will be making his first playoff start ever, Phillip Rivers will be making his first playoff start in 5 years. And his postseason history is spotty at best. Mark, who wins this game and why?
Well, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I think they're so unique with kind of the triple, the triple option offense that they run. And I told you guys this before, man, they do such a good job of scheming you front side on that option where they're getting a numbers count. If you've got 5 defenders, they're finding a way to get 7 guys blocking on that side, turning the backside free. They do just a tremendous job of creating those mismatches in some of the biggest holes I've ever seen. But we get so enamored in, like, this is how we cover football, right? We get so enamored with offense. Heisman's all about the offense. MVP awards are all about offense that we forget about the other side of the ball oftentimes. And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, all 3 levels of this Ravens defense has like potential Hall of Famers, great players, all-pro players. At the linebacker position, C.J. Mosley is incredible. T. Sizzle's unbelievable. Eric Weddle is one of the best safeties in football, and they are incredibly tied together. And you look at the numbers, which are season lows. I've got the list right here. When the Chargers played Baltimore Week 16 in L.A., okay, they scored 10 points. Season low, check. They had 198 net yards, season low, check. 147 yards passing for Phillip Rivers, season low, check. 51.7 passer rating for Phillip Rivers, season low, check. I mean, this defense is legit, and I'm telling you, they are as tied together as any defense I've ever seen. Normally, we used to say, beg them to blitz, bring on the blitz, and when you disguise, that's where disguise hurts you. Greg, they are great at disguising. They are great from a communication standpoint, and I'm telling you what, they are as tied together as any defense I watch. Wink Martindale, their coordinator, has done a phenomenal job of putting a defense together, and I'm telling you, they are playing. They'd go down as one of the all-time great defenses in recent history if they just turn people over. Their takeaways they haven't taken the ball away, but they're top 2 or 3 in just about every defensive category that means anything.
Yeah, Baltimore Ravens historically has always had a great defense. We know who they are defensively, but what impresses me most importantly about this Baltimore Ravens team is, you've alluded to this all week, the way that they run the football. Gus Edwards is 3rd in rushing since Week 7, literally, or in these 7 games that they've won.
Right.
The 6-1 run that they've had with Lamar Jackson coming in and taking over at the helm. He's 3rd in the NFL in rushing. A lot of it has to do with their ability to put Lamar Jackson in positions to run effectively. So your linebackers and your defensive guys have to key in on him as well as the running back. But I just simply like John Harbaugh in this situation at home. He's 2-0 at home when he has a playoff game. He hasn't lost a playoff game when he gets in the dance, when he has the first opportunity to play.
So you're going Ravens?
I'm going with the Ravens.
Oh, boy. So 2 Ravens, and I got 2 quick points here. It's going to be 3-0 Ravens. Eric, look at him. He's already laughing. Eric, let me just say, 2 quarterbacks. Mark hyped up the Baltimore defense. Only 2 quarterbacks have passed for over 300 yards this year. Patrick Mahomes in that amazing game where he was dynamic on 4th down, winning with his legs. And the other is Baker Mayfield, who also got out of the pocket and was able to keep plays longer and win with his legs. Phillip Rivers does not win with his legs. That's point number 1. Now, point number 2, you guys know I started a gambling podcast, and I'm going heavy into the gambling. When you look at where the general public, Joe Public out there, is gambling on this game, 78% of the public is on the road underdog, LA Chargers. Those are the guys who don't win money. I'll leave it at that, Eric. It's got to be Baltimore here.
I'll say this much. I'm so sick of you guys.
Oh.
Y'all all stuck together. Look, one thing about the L.A. Chargers they're good on the road. They play better on the road, I think, they do at home.
They did in Week 16.
Well, let's just.
Well, home field advantage is not a home
I
field
know,
advantage because
but
you're playing a soccer
but
stadium.
it's still on the road.
Yeah.
It's still this is a good football team. The thing about the Chargers, I like their receiving core. I know that they did. Baltimore has a very good defense. I give them that. I mean, they did hold the Chargers to an all-point low, 10 points, with 100-something yards passing, not a lot of yards rushing. But I think in this playoff game, I think you're going to see more out of their big receivers, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Kevin Benjamin. They have some of the biggest wide receivers in the National Football League. Phillip Rivers, if he does not turn the ball over, now, I know that's an if.
Like he did on the first play.
If he does not turn the ball over, they win this football game. You know, one thing about the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, anytime you have a quarterback that's running the football as much as they run the football with him, it's a catastrophe waiting to happen. You know this as well as I do in the NFL. Let him run. We're going to get him sooner or later. Now, if he goes down, what do? They go back to Flacco. They have to have a whole new game plan. That's a whole new game plan.
Nobody wants to see that.
No, I never want to see any player get hurt. But I feel like the L.A. Chargers on the road is going to win this football game against all three of you guys.
Right. I will say this about the big wide receivers, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, Brandon Carr, they're all about 6'1", about 210. They got some big corners that can cover. All right, to AFC's other wild card matchup where the Texans host the Colts in a battle of division foes while Houston beat out Indy for the AFC South title. Andrew Luck and company have won 9 of their last 10, but Luck hasn't been in a game of this magnitude in 4 years, and he's just 3-3 in the playoffs. Greg, who wins this game and why?
The Colts, because of that guy, Andrew Luck, be a lady. I like Andrew Luck. And
you should have been on that Masked
Singer.
Masked Singer.
That was pretty good.
I can pull it out when I need to. No, I like the Indianapolis Colts because of Andrew Luck and because of T.Y. Hilton. That I don't want to discount their defense because their defense is playing great ball, but I'm going to focus on the offense side of the ball here. When you look at what Andrew Luck has provided this team, stability at the quarterback position, which everyone in the NFL needs, specifically at this point in the season. But what the Houston Texans does well, pass rush. What the Indianapolis Colts does well is pass protect. So you can't get to my quarterback if we're pass protecting and my quarterback is getting rid of the football. And might I add, look at these numbers. T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton has been. He's been a little injured, but when he found out, we got the Texans. I'm fine, coach. We good to go. This is my home away from home. In 14 games, 76 receptions, 1,445, 1,445 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. Guys, that is what guys are putting up in a full season body of work. T.Y. Hilton, that is against the Houston Texans. That is just solely against the Houston Texans. This guy, he runs rapid, runs free, and Andrew Luck always finds him. I just don't think the Houston Texans can control Andrew Luck in that offense.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I think the Houston Texans do win this game. And you know that, you're right. In the last 8 games, I think Indianapolis has given up less pressures, less sacks. I'm talking about J.J. Watt. I'm talking about Clowney. I'm talking about a defense that can flat get after people with crowd noise. Anytime you go in the playoffs as an offensive football team with crowd noise against J.J. Watt and that kind of pass rush, you take about 40% of your playbook and say, okay, we can't throw anything that's a 5-step with multiple hitches. It's got to be 5-step out. It's got to be an all-go type of throw, right? We're going to have to throw 3 steps. You eliminate a bunch of your playbook when you go there. Can you still produce offensively when you've eliminated part of your playbook because of crowd noise, because of that pass rush? And I like Hopkins, obviously. He's been unbelievable, 115 catches, no drops. But I like Deshaun Watson's ability off schedule. I know he's been sacked a bunch, but off schedule with his feet to make plays and to push the ball down the football field.
Well, for once, I might agree with you. I'm going with the Colts.
Welcome.
I think with Andrew
like
Luck, Andrew Luck has shown that he is an elite quarterback still in the National Football League. You said it best. When you can't get to the quarterback, I don't care how great a pass rush you have, they have the lowest sack rating in the NFL. I mean, I think 18 sacks this year. So I think that the Colts can move the ball very effective. They can run the ball when they have to. On third downs, they're the best in the National Football League. I think 48% on third downs. So I just think that the Colts will win this football game. They have played they've shown that they can beat opponents with a winning record also. The Texans have struggled. They have struggled beating real good opponents. So I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts.
Are you stealing my notes, Eric? Yes, you're 100% spot on there. The Texans, Mark, have not beaten a team with a over 500 record dating back 11 games. Like, they've beat up a lot of bad teams, a lot of bad quarterbacks. As Greg was alluding to, Andrew Luck averaged in 2 games against this Houston secondary 430 yards passing.
And what was the record?
1-1. But come on, Mark. No, you saw that overtime.
Stop it, Mark.
I say 1-1 the record.
Also, quick note.
They're over 500, right? Did they not beat them? I mean, what's that faulty stat you're throwing out here?
So let me quickly go back. We said I said the Eagles are very one-dimensional, no run game. Right now, this Texans offense is let's throw it to Hopkins. We have nothing else. Lamar Miller out. Lamar Miller not playing well, sorry.
Right.
Thomas, the receiver, he's out. Will Fuller out. They got nothing but Hopkins. I think they'll shade to him. Malik Hooker, good safety on the Colts. I think he'll be over near Hopkins. You shut him down and they win. I like the Colts here handily.
All right, I got to note this. All-Pro Quentin Nelson, your neck of the woods. Come on now. He's protecting Andrew Luck.
Earl Grey.
Jason McIntyre is back, and we're now joined by NBA champion Dante Jones. Let's move to the NBA, where James Harden went off again last night, dropping a 44-point triple-double on the Warriors and hitting a game-winning 3 in Draymond Green's eye in overtime. Over the last few weeks, Harden has been on a hot streak of epic proportions, averaging more than 40 points and 9 assists, and setting an NBA record with 9 straight games of 35 points and 5 assists, including 5 straight scoring 40 or more. Dante, is Harden clearly the best player in the NBA right now?
He's the best player we're watching right now. And I think we all know who the best player in the NBA is. We don't have to say it.
James Harden.
But he's playing the best out of all the stars right now. He's bypassed all the MVP candidates with their ability to win, to move up into the 4th seed. They're 1 game from they're 1 game behind Golden State. They're 2 games behind OKC. They're trending in the right direction to be at the top of the Western Conference. He's leading at we're approaching the halfway point of the season. And right now, we would say over this 11, 12 game stretch, he's leading the MVP race.
Listen, he's great. He's offensively, he's awesome. Like, this is one thing I hate about MVP races, the Heisman Trophy, all this stuff. We just give it to the best offensive player. He's clearly not the best player in the NBA. Clearly, it's LeBron James. I mean, you watch LeBron James, he can run the point, he can play, he can play in the backcourt, he can play in the front court, he can, defensively, he can get into lanes, he can create rebounds, he can tip the ball, he can create fast break points. I mean, he's clearly the best player. James Harden is just clearly playing great offense right now. He's not the best player.
See, I had James Harden and fed it to him, so I ain't have to say it, because if I say it, then you guys say it.
You're LeBron's guy.
I'm biased, but you see how I dished that to him and set him up to say what is on everybody's tongue. He's doing his job. He's scoring at a high level. He's assisting at a high level, but we know what his deficiencies are. But he's leading his team to victories. That's what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to do those other things.
He's the best player in the NBA right now. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the easy answer. LeBron James is the easy answer, but he's not the best player in the NBA right now.
See, it's like saying that a quarterback is the best player in the NFL. Aaron Donald's the best player in the NFL. Who's going to win the MVP? It's going to be a quarterback. It's going to be Mahomes, right? I mean, to me, the best pure player, there is no question. If you polled 100 NBA guys, unless they play for the Rockets, every one of them would tell you that the best player is LeBron James.
You know what I wish would happen in this game that we're watching right now? That the best players, the MVP candidates, Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, LeBron James would all guard each other. If they guarded each other on a 48-minute basis, then send somebody else to do it, it would be a spectacle, because you would watch them defend. They would get the benefit of doubt on the whistle. You wouldn't get so many calls that James gets, because they're not going to foul LeBron James out. They're not going to give him the ticky-tack that they give to the role players. It would be a different event to watch. I wish there would be more head-to-head like it used to be back in the day, head-to-head matchups, because all these guys are 6'6" to 6'9". They can guard each other. They choose not to sometimes, but I wish that would happen so we could duke it out and find out who is the and show who's the best, because if you valued it like that, come on now, fellas.
I mean, he's unguardable right now, right? We can agree on that. He was phenomenal last night. Major props to Harden. Great game, by the way. but it was an island game. There was nothing else going on in the sports world last night. So everybody obviously watches that. Harden is the best.
It's a big Western Conference game.
It was a big game, but it's January, Dante. You played in the league. What happens in January has no bearing on an MVP race, on what's going to happen in the playoffs. Like, I just don't put too much stock.
I disagree.
I totally disagree.
Oh, so now what, you think the Rockets are a
when you have Western Conference rivals that may see each other down the line, those games are different than a normal January game. When Houston sees Golden State, because they had the Western Conference Finals duel, when Houston thinks they're the better team and they should have won if CP didn't get hurt, they take that seriously like a playoff game. And I don't think Steph Curry was going into lax like, you know what, this is a game that we don't have.
No, it doesn't work like that.
But here's trying to figure out and get their stuff together.
Here's what works for me, though, in the MVP, if you want to make the MVP case. And obviously, you look at these last 12 games, the run that he has been on, and you look at the situation where he was asked to, hey, right now, you've got to lead us. You have got to take it to the next level because we're down CP3. That's when all of a sudden the voters care about January games, right? Because that's where the MVP stuff. When guys go down, I look at teams with injuries. When injuries happen, what happened when LeBron went out? The Lakers went from the 4th seed down to the 8th seed, right? Nobody could carry them. Hey, if Ball could have carried them through that, you would have all of a sudden said, hey, man, Ball is actually playing. He's got more value than we credited him with.
And I know we got to move on from this, but that's where that MVP trophy is kind of a little sketchy to me. I think he's obviously the most valuable player because with his play, they moved from the way he's playing over the 12 games, they moved from 14 to 4, and 1 game out of 3 and 2 games out of 2. LeBron James, he gets hurt. They go from 4 to the bottom of the Western Conference playoff race. Like, you see players that go out and they change the trajectory of the team. That's an MVP, the most valuable player to his team, not a team that's at the top, that's winning, that's a well-oiled machine.
If you go by that, it's LeBron every year, though, Dante.
Okay,
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem with Larry Bird won 3 in a row.
I don't have a problem with it. Okay, well, Harden's big game was just one part of the story last night. The Warriors were actually up 20 in the second half, and after the game, Steph Curry vented some frustration, saying, you don't lose at home, not with a lead like that. The Warriors have lost 3 in a row at home and just haven't been their usual dominant selves this year. Dante, do they look vulnerable in your mind?
They do. They look like they're not playing with the same fervor. They look like the same chemistry, the same cohesiveness. They look like a team that's trying to find their roles and not trying to step on other people's toes. They have some deficiencies right now with their bigs. They're young. They're not as skilled as they're used to having. Their bench is getting a little bit older, and they don't have as many options on their bench to go to when the big three is kind of going through the motions a little bit, to kind of push them a little bit or to kind of keep the tempo going. They don't look like the same team, and now they're putting all that stress coming in on Boogie Cousins coming back. And I don't think that's fair because they don't have the interior presence of defense as they normally do, and he's not a defender. So where do they go from this? Do they try to keep outscoring you? Yeah, it looks like they're an amazing scoring team, and they are. But what they have been hanging their hats over the years is defense.
Yes.
They've been the best defensive team. They switch. They have people that can contain you. And right now, they're just not doing their job. The best defensive team in the league cannot lose a 20-point lead early in the third quarter and lose a game like that on their home court. And you get scared because you get scared of their third quarter runs and how they finish out games, and teams are not scared of them right now.
You said it best with the defense. I don't think that they're vulnerable. I just think they're not imposing the fear into other teams as they did the last 2 seasons, and other teams are getting so much more confident going into Golden State, going into Oracle, and playing against this team. But when you talk about defense, 2 years ago, you're second in defense, then last year you slipped to 11, and now this year you're 15th. And a part of that is because athletically, you lose a guy like JaVale McGee. We may joke about JaVale McGee, but his athletic ability, his length, his ability to defend at the perimeter and get back and recover and help, they miss that. And they don't have guys like that coming off the bench that understand their role. I like other teams now with what they're doing against the Warriors.
Don't be a prisoner of the moment, guys.
You're absolutely correct.
Just relax on this, okay? As you said, Boogie Cousins will be coming back. But we saw the Warriors when their backs were against the wall in that series against the Rockets. Down 11 on the road, Game 7. Were they rattled at all? Were they nervous? No. They made shots. The Rockets missed shots. The only thing I'll give you guys here is the cloud over Kevin Durant, which LeBron had the cloud in Cleveland last year. Everybody knew he was probably leaving. if you watch closely down the stretch, what I didn't like from the Warriors, and I know Curry and Durant, they watch a lot of these shows, it was a lot of ISO. It was a lot of, okay, it's my turn. No, it's your turn. And it wasn't true Warriors basketball. And I do wonder if some of that Kevin Durant stuff's starting to weigh on them. When you watch how that offense operates late, it's not real Warriors.
I'm not concerned when it comes May. Their season doesn't start till April or May. That's how I look at the Warriors right now. I think the biggest issue, and, I was on a team that in 96 won 13 games, in 97 won 12 games in a world championship, in 98 won 14 games in a world championship. And you know what the biggest thing you have to guard against? Boredom. When you're that good, you have to guard against boredom. And when you play that many games and you have that much physical wear and tear on your body, it's hard, especially early, to get hyped when you've been a multiple champion. And so to me, you have to weather the storm through January and February and March, and you get into April and you start to get some of that juice back. I think they'll come together. I worry about the flip the switch mentality, but in the NBA, with the athletes they have and the shooters they have, I think they can flip that switch.
Complacency was always something they were going to have to fight throughout the course of their season. However, you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. They know what it takes to get it done. They've done it back to back. They've done it 3 times. They can get it done. However, the part that they've been great at over the past years, and why there's a chink in their armor right now, they seem a little vulnerable, is because they build habits throughout the course of the season, and that train just keeps moving on an upward trend. Right now, it's not that same upward trend. So while it seems a little bit there's some vulnerability right now, because they're not building those habits that carry them in the playoffs.
Time for Antisocial. Our social media manager, Darnell Smith, is here to guide us. What you got for us on them Twitter?
Big Swole.
What's up, y'all? Where y'all at over there?
Big Swole.
Y'all heard about the Bird Box Challenge?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, I drove up here like this, man. Anyway, man, let's start off in the NBA. Where on Thursday morning, they released the first returns for All-Star voting, and the results were interesting. The most surprising takeaway is that Kevin Durant finds himself in the 3rd spot right now because Dallas Mavericks rookie Luka Doncic is currently in 2nd place in the front court. The 19-year-old from Slovenia racked up about 20,000 more votes than Durant. Guys, do y'all think NBA fans have turned on KD?
No, I mean, Luka got a whole country over there just voting for him. Come on.
Yeah, but this is kind of surprising, though. KD's the 2nd best player in the league.
It's early. It's early. Let's not get.
What do you mean, have they turned on him? They think he ruined the league by going to Golden State. I mean, I don't think that's true, but a lot of these knucklehead fans, these are the same fans who voted Derrick Rose like number 2 among the guards. They're killing me on IG.
Good story,
Darnell,
though. Good story.
It's early.
This is where, and now the fans are gonna, get at me on social media. I hate the fact that we let the fans vote for this stuff.
But who do you let vote,
speak
though?
your mind here, Mark.
Who do you let vote, Mark?
I let the players, I let the general managers, I let the coaches vote.
Let the fans know how you feel, Mark.
Right, I want to know who literally is the best, not the most popular.
I didn't like.
And you know what? You got the whole Eastern European vote going on there. We gotta look into this. We gotta look
Ballot
into
box
this.
stuff.
Right?
What else is on them
robots
Twitter
voting.
feeds?
We got robots.
What else you got on them Twitter feeds?
Yes, sir. So yesterday, Kawhi Leonard made his return to San Antonio since this leaving this summer, and the fans let him have it. Take a listen.
Trying to pick up or wonder. Trader.
And it didn't stop there. While Leonard seemed to keep his composure, Kawhi's mom was caught on the ground getting into it with a Spurs fan. She had finally had enough when she heard a bit too much from a certain heckler in the stands. They had it out for a few minutes, yelling back and forth, but it eventually died down, and the Raptors took a L. Y'all like Mama Leonard sticking up for her son?
I like Mama Leonard sticking up for her son. I don't think Mama Leonard should have went to the game, but I understand because Mama Leonard, I think, still lives in San Antonio. And when Kawhi was doing his job and helping them win a championship, they immersed her in their culture. They made her feel like she was at home. And then when Kawhi leaves, they just turn their backs and they're like, listen, like, you don't belong here anymore. And she obviously is comfortable in Texas. Like, she probably maybe has a home there, and just because your son wears another jersey, you're gonna talk crazy to her or talk crazy about her son. She's obviously put in a position to defend her son.
Yeah, I've been, I have a son that played the major leagues for 4 years, so I've been there. I've watched my daughters just about crawl over a rail to go after somebody, like where I had to pull them back. So, that's your family member, and it hurts when you know the journey. You know, everybody sees the destination, but you know the journey. You were there with the injuries. You were there with all the things that have happened. You know how it is to get to this point in your career, right? To get to be a professional athlete and the sacrifice you have to make to get there. And she's been through that stuff. So I don't have any problem sticking up for her son. Like Mama Bear, you don't want to mess with Mama Bear when they're messing with the cub, right? I'd like to see her go over
I'm going to be very transparent right here. You jumped on the fans the last one. This is why the fans kind of, they rub me the wrong way because they're really not your fan.
Right.
They're the fan of the organization and the team.
The laundry.
The university,
Yeah.
the jersey that you put on, that's what they root for. They don't really care about you. And that's why players act the way they act sometimes when it comes to engaging with the fans, because we know what's real.
Well, that's why they make decisions to leave when
Yes,
it feels
and
best for their
fans
decision because
fans get in their feelings. Like,
This is a tough one because my mom goes online and defends me in the Facebook comment, and I'm like, Mom,
How is it
don't
tough?
do it. So like when you watch this, like, I mean, I got props for Kawhi's mom defending me. Exactly. Y'all haters coming after me. But in all seriousness, I think it's out of bounds to go after a mom at a game. Like, I don't know how this went down. Maybe she was angry with this character. But yeah, the parents, you can't go after the parents, Greg. I mean, listen, did your mom ever get gone after with the whole Vikings-Packers thing you got into?
I don't know. I don't think my mom ever got gone after. But number one, I wouldn't have had my mom in a uniform, in a jersey.
But you can't tell your mom what to do.
Yeah.
And I doubt you'll be able to tell your mom what to wear at the arena.
Very true. What else you got for us?
All right, man, moving on to everyone's favorite bandwagon fan, Drizzy Drake, who we all know only supports the teams that are favored to win.
I love Drake.
He's been seen repping Kentucky basketball, supporting Conor McGregor, and of course his hometown team, the Toronto Raptors. Well, it looks like he found a new bandwagon to hop on with the video posted of him wearing an Alabama hoodie. The Crimson Tide Twitter page loved it, posting the caption, "Get your mind right. Motivation from Drake repping Bama." All right, y'all, most teams that he's been supporting have totally collapsed. Should Bama be worried that Drake is repping their colors?
Yeah, we got to go the opposite direction.
Hey, Drake, get up
Immediately.
I love your music. You're a great dude, but we got to go the opposite direction because you don't have the great choice in
Let me
repping
go
teams.
the opposite way on that. What if he is making this his thing? I'm just going to go with whoever's hot because everybody's going to make fun of me anyway. I don't care. Next thing you know, he's going to show up with like a Lamar Jackson jersey next week. Like, I think this is going to be his thing. He's embracing it, right? Are you buying that? No?
It doesn't scare me at all because Alabama got a bunch of full-grown men on the line of scrimmage. That they are, I swear their recruiting tactic is find an 8-year-old that's in the shaving aisle of the local grocery store and give that guy a full scholarship, right? Because if that kid's 8 and he's shaving right now, he's going to be a full-grown man by the time he comes to college.
Love it. What else you got for us, Darnell?
Yes, sir. Last but not least, my man Clay Travis yesterday on Lock It In had an interesting point about Seattle in the Dallas game. Take a listen.
Seattle has the better offensive line when it comes to rushing. They have the better quarterback when it comes to passing, and they're an underdog against the Cowboys. The wrong team is favored here. It's been a house of horrors for the Cowboys at home in the playoffs. They are going to lose. Russell Wilson is going to stomp all over the star and break Dallas Cowboy fan hearts. It's what he does.
Y'all agree with Clay on this?
I can't get past the mustache. I mean,
right,
I'm
first of all,
struggling. I see Rachel Bonetta's in the studio here. The show's on next. I'm just gonna leave it alone. They're telling me, Jason, don't go there because you know what everybody's saying at home.
How can you
when
challenge
they
a
see
man
that
with a mustache like that? He took the chance and jumped out with the mustache. Clay, I'm repping you. I believe it. I'm rolling with Clay.
Okay.
I'm like you. This is what I heard. Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, I'm with you guys. I agree with what Clay is saying, but man, what's up with that stash?
Yeah.
Hey, Clay, stand out, man. Don't be afraid to be different, man. I'm rolling with you.
Cut it off.
Take one button down on the show next time. Show some chest, all right? Come on, Clay.
All right, earlier in the show, we talked about Dak Prescott, who will be up against a solid Seahawks defense Saturday night. Dak started the year off slow, but has come on strong in the second half of the season. Let's get to our approval ratings. Mark, I got Dak Prescott at an all-star level at a 72 overall, job performance at 16, all-time great status at a 14, character, I like him in these two categories, character and authenticity, at a 21 in both categories. I just think the job that he's done this year has been decent. I think again, when I look at Dak Prescott, I look at a quarterback that is supported by everything around him. In year 3, I'm going to start needing you to support the guys that are around you versus them all supporting you.
Yeah, can you elevate your game? I think that's the big question mark with Dak. And I like Dak. I've got him at a 15 job performance rating. He just needs to be more consistent. And like you said, he's got to elevate players as opposed to players elevating him. The all-star status at 15, I like Dak Prescott. I think he needs to run a little bit more. I think you need to put him in, those situations. And then when you start talking about character and authenticity, that's where I've got him rated the highest. So 20 on each of those. I think the guy's got great character. I think he shows up every week. I don't think he lets the haters and all that stuff affect him very much. And then authenticity, he knows what he is. He knows who he is. He deals with that. I really like the kid. I like the player. I think he's been down a little bit, but I think the playoffs here is where you're going to make your mark for yourself. So I give him a 70 as well as an all-star right there on the cusp of of the all-star mark-off there.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous in saying that I wouldn't mind Dak Prescott heading my team, being the leader of my team, because of what he provides and the stability that he has with his character and his authenticity, and just knowing that he can carry the team. But I need you to do a little bit more. It's been a pleasure working with you this week.
Likewise, my friend. Appreciate it.